I'm not trying to say that complaining doesn't feel good. I understand that sometimes we all need to release some steam. It's just that complaining fails to fix the heart of the problem. Alright. If you aren't part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I can't say I was always entirely convinced by this trope, but I couldn't deny its veracity when I realized that that which I was complaining about was a direct result from my apathy. You may or may not know a video blogger named Dan Brown. No, not the author. Yes, the same guy that made the education video this past spring that ruffled an awful lot of feathers. He announced at VidCon in LA in July that the next part of his whole YouTube thing, cutely labeled Dan 3.0, would consist of a sort of handing over of his life to the general public. When I heard him talk about this, and for the record, boy is a great speaker, I couldn't help but be excited. He was going to give most all of the decisions in his life over to a sort of crowdsourced decision engine, and the ideas that got voted up were the things he would actually end up doing. This seemed like such a great idea to me, and it seemed like some sort of performance piece that I couldn't help but think about it as art. And I, having faith in humanity in general, suspected that what the general public would have Dan Brown do would be things that made life better for people in general. Things that bettered the planet. Things that decreased world suck. But when I watched some videos of the things that he was doing, I was beyond disappointed. Make a rubber band ball? Are you serious? I was having a conversation with my friends Eric and Justin about my frustrations with this project, and Eric suggested that we were the problem. The people that actually cared, that actually would want Dan Brown to do something better, aren't voting on the tasks, aren't submitting the tasks. We're just stepping back and judging from afar. And that was exactly what I was doing. By simply complaining that I didn't like how Dan Brown's project was turning out, I wasn't really fixing anything. I went ahead and I found some tasks that I thought would make life better and voted on them. And I'll include some links in the doobly-doo if you're interested in this project and you'd like to vote on the tasks that I'm interested in. And then with the November elections coming up here in the States, I can't help but relate this to taking part in the electoral process. I became a little disillusioned with the whole process after 2004, thinking that I had made the wrong vote, but that having made the right vote wouldn't have changed anything. I was really all set to not vote at all in 2008, but then my friend Ian said,
"You have to vote. It's the only right we get as people that allows us to have a part in anything we want to say about our government, about our potholes in the street, about our future, about Social Security, about how much your tuition should cost, about where you're going to send your kids to school one day, about how much property tax you're going to pay." Everything that comes down to voting is represented in other parts of our lives. And if you're sitting on the sideline saying that none of the politicians is happening to speak to you at this particular election, then you're doing yourself the disservice of not paying close enough attention. If you have any interest in politics, or if you don't, you owe it to yourself to get educated and vote. It's the only thing we have. People are dying in Zimbabwe right now to have the right to vote out Robert Mugabe. We have that right every 2 to 4 years.
So I did vote. If you're lucky enough to live in a country where your government gives you a say, educate yourself on your choices. Even if the system seems rigged or fixed, don't just step back and let it happen. Look into the things that you can do to affect change. If your neighborhood looks junky, see what you can do to clean it up. You can pick up trash, plant flowers. If you feel like you're surrounded by people in sour moods, do your best to don a smile and spread some happiness. You'll be surprised how your good mood is contagious. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And while you might be able to think of some instance in which this isn't entirely true, I'm not really interested in arguing that. My point is just that if it's worth complaining about, it's probably worth taking steps to fix. If you have a problem with someone, try to address the issue with them. You'd be surprised how receptive people can be if you approach them in a kind and caring way. If you feel like you're being discriminated against due to ignorance on the part of others, seize every opportunity you have to educate them on you, your culture, whatever it is you feel they don't understand. Though I will admit, I have had experiences in which complaining to someone led them to direct me in how to fix my problem. I'm not saying I never let off steam. I'm just saying it feels so much better to have the problem fixed.